All right, thank you all for joining us for Inside Bodybuilding, episode number 3. I'm Matt Meinrod, and in the co-pilot chair is senior editor of Projectbodybuilding.com, Taylor Normando. As you guys know, Inside Bodybuilding is your monthly fix of 3 in-depth interviews from bodybuilding's top stars. Taylor, without any more waiting, let's welcome in our first guest, IFBB Pro, Jon Delarosa. Jon, welcome to the show.
What's up, guys? How are you?
Doing really well, and thanks for coming on the show. And before we get started, I know Taylor and I are really excited to have you on the show. And there's been a lot of recent droppings in the media side of bodybuilding. So I know it's unfortunate for a lot of pros such as yourself, but I think it also has a good side for bodybuilding fans that have been wanting to hear from guys like yourself in a different way, that you guys have kind of had your hands tied for several years. So I think it's a good thing. So I know we're both excited to have you on the show and get exposed to our audience too. Right.
Yeah. No, it's an exciting time for bodybuilding. I mean, again, it does take away, for us as athletes, it takes away an opportunity of making more, or making money through a publication deal or anything like that. But it also gives us the opportunity to reinvent ourselves and find a new avenue to make an income, as bodybuilders, and doing what we need to do, promoting the sport of bodybuilding and ourselves and, our brands. So, it's unfortunate, but I think that if people are smart enough and take the time to invest in themselves and really sit down and think about, how they can, promote themselves and the companies they work with and all of that other stuff, I think it could be great because, again, I wouldn't be sitting here, talking with you guys if I was still under contract. So
let me ask you about how that went down with MD. Did you see it coming, or was it kind of a shock to get the letter or the phone call?
No, I had no idea. I had heard a few people got dropped before me, so I was like, man, that's really unfortunate. But I never saw it coming. I didn't hear any, it's not like they gave me a call, a few weeks in advance and say, hey, we're making cuts. It was just kind of, hey, we're not renewing your contract, and this is it. So,
gotcha.
But, without making MD sound too bad, I mean, Steve Bleckman has, he's done a wonderful job over there at Muscular Development, helping, athletes like myself and, a ton of other athletes before me, help us follow our dreams and, make a career out of this and give us, maybe an opportunity that we may have never gotten. So, whatever is going on with the print business, maybe it's dying, maybe it's not. I'm not really too sure what's going on with that. But, Steve Bleckman has been, a class act. He's helped me out. He knows my family, he knows my wife, he knows all of us. So, like I said, I respect that man, and I'm appreciative for everything he's done for me for the past,
Were they very open with, like, if you had a creative idea as far as getting your brand out there, would they listen to you, or was it kind of, hey, Jon, I want you to do this, and you had to listen to what they were saying?
No, Muscular Development, Steve Bleckman, the whole team over there, they were really cool. As long as, you got, you were getting videos out there for them, you're promoting their brand, they were really cool with whatever you wanted to do for your brand as well. I mean, Steve Bleckman actually, offered up tons of ideas when I was opening up my store and, building myself up. He's been there for me, like I said, helped me through all of that. So they were a really cool team to work with.
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
Before we dig any deeper into this interview, because we got a lot to ask you, we may reference you at some point as JDR. Okay. And that comes actually from Taylor and I were on a radio show, one of our radio shows at Project Bodybuilding. And we were previewing, I want to say it was the Orlando Pro where you took second place.
Right.
And out of nowhere, Taylor says, yeah, I really think JDR has a shot at winning the show. And I stopped him. I said, who's JDR? And he says, Jon Delarosa. And I said, wait a minute. And then he goes into reference that one of his favorite movies, because Taylor's Canadian, so he's a big Jean-Claude Van Damme fan.
Oh, yeah.
It was all true up until you said favorite movies.
So just a heads up, Taylor might call you JDR at some point. Okay, so cool. Might I? Yeah. So if you don't know who we're talking about, that's actually you we're talking about. So,
okay. That's my signature actually. When I sign 8x10s and stuff, I put JDR.
Nice.
You can rip through those pretty quick, I imagine.
Yeah, yep.
Well, let's talk about a little bit how you got into bodybuilding. I know you got a family of people that have been in the fitness industry and just into bodybuilding and lifting weights. Go into just when you picked it up, when you first started falling in love with it, and start from there.
So my story is kind of like anybody else who has a family member, a dad or uncle or brother in bodybuilding. I mean, I grew up and my dad and my uncle were always hitting the weights in the gym, and you know, I saw them, and my dad was like particularly the biggest guy I'd ever seen. My uncle was always kind of like lean and ripped. My dad was, you know, big and bulky, and you know, my eyes, like I said, my dad was the Hulk. So you grow up, you see that, you know, I wanted to be like my dad, so I picked up weights really, really early. I remember him getting me like the old weeder sets with the sand-filled weights and all that stuff. So we did that for a while, and then by the age of 14, I had built my own gym in my buddy's grandmother's garage. She had a two-car garage. We built a full gym in there with a squat rack, a bench press. We had, you know, tons of 45-pound plates, barbells, a whole bunch of stuff. So, you know, at 14, I really started hitting it, and I fell in love with training. I was training every day after school, in between sports, and that's how I got started, you know. And the gym has always been some kind of, you know, release for me. So, you know, I always run back to the gym when I'm feeling a little stressed or whatever. So it's always been a good thing for me.
Hey, Jon, you played basketball and football. At least that's what I gathered from your biography on your website. Which one was your main one? Which one did you fall in for first?
Well, you know what? I loved basketball. I grew up in the Michael Jordan era, so everything that I did was trying to emulate Michael Jordan and stuff. But because of my height, you know, I was always at a disadvantage. Although I was very good at basketball, actually at football, I was even better without even trying. I hadn't played football for the earlier part of my childhood. I didn't even know what football was. And then I went into high school. Junior high, and the coach saw me walking down the hall, and he saw that I was like a bigger kid, like a stockier kid, and he was like, "Hey, why don't you come out to the tryouts tonight and play?" So I was like, "All right, I'll give it a shot." I went out there, and I was running kids over. So that was it. That was when I started football, and you know, I was always because of basketball, I was already a fast runner. So I started at running back my second year in football, and I started all the way through high school. So it was, like I said, I was actually better at football because my height was an advantage. Where when I was running behind one of these linemen, one of these linemen, you know, I would get lost in that shuffle. So it was good.
Did you have any colleges looking at you at that point in time in your life, or?
Well, that was my senior year. I was being scouted, and that's when I had my back injury. I missed my last 2 games of high school, and that was kind of the end of my football career right there.
What was the exact diagnosis of the injury?
I had I got tackled, and I shattered my sacrum, my coccyx, and my L5 disc was bulging as well. So that's everything that happened there. Wow. because of the fractured bone, you know, the bones in my back. I had to get them removed. I never did. It created an infection, and I got a cyst, and that cyst made me go septic from my waist down, and it was just a mess, man.
How long were you in the hospital for? It sounds like pretty rough.
I was bedridden for 6 months because when they performed the surgery on my back, they had to clear all that, you know, all the pus and the bone fragments and everything out. And because of the severity of the infection, it had to heal from the inside out. So they didn't stitch me closed. I had a 7 inch wound all the way down to the bone that was just healing, you know, like that.
Did that delay high school graduation or no?
No, I still was able to, you know, because football was early in the year. It was September or whatever. I was already, you know, good by I think it was May. I was already back in school.
Oh, okay,
so,
good.
Yeah.
I can see how that would definitely derail your plans of going on to play college football.
Yeah, it was pretty messed up, man. Because I, like I said, I fell in love with football. I was really good at it. And, if it was a ticket to a good college for me, I was going to take it. But, everything happens for a reason. I was still training like a bodybuilder even then. So look at where it ended up. I wouldn't trade it for the world. I ended up exactly where I wanted to be. So
exactly. So you're graduating high school, that time period. At that point, it's all bodybuilding, and you realize that that's going to be your athletic future if you have one.
Yeah. Well, what happened was after that whole ordeal with my back surgery, I was playing I was playing high school football at around, I want to say like 210 pounds as a senior. And after that whole ordeal, I was like 160 pounds. I had lost all muscle. I was just really, really skinny. I was bedridden. I wasn't eating. I wasn't training, obviously. So I remember one day just like walking by the mirror and like seeing how skinny and like just bad I looked. In my eyes, I looked horrible. So I was like, all right, I got to get back in the gym. So as soon as I was able to, I got back in the gym and I made the decision to just compete. I wanted to go compete, and that was going to be my goal. And that's exactly the year after that I competed for my first time.
Hey, Jon, did your father compete, or was he just sort of recreational at that point?
Yeah, my father competed as well.
Oh, so you were aware kind of the whole competition thing. Did it turn you off at first at all, or were you right off the bat
No, I was right off the bat. I mean, I loved it. I loved seeing the physique change. I loved the hard work that went into it and the diet. And, I was a little funny about getting on stage in your underwear at first, but, when you're young, you kind of see like, oh, that's kind of weird. I don't want to do that. But then, after the months of dieting, and you want to show that physique off, so.
For sure.
So just so we have the timeline right, what year was your first competition?
I was 19.
So that would have been, gosh, Taylor, help me out. You're in 2003?
Yeah, around there, 2000. Yeah, I'm 30 now. 11 years ago, it was like 2001, 2002, somewhere around there.
This is a bunch of meatheads trying to do math, and my head hurts. Just this is a recipe for disaster right here.
Yeah.
Well, let's talk a little bit about bodybuilding, because after all, it's a bodybuilding show. I know. Myself, everybody on the forums and online. I don't care what forum you're on or who you follow in bodybuilding. Everybody knows there's the connection between New York bodybuilders and Bev Francis Powerhouse Gym, and every video, whether it's on RX Muscle or MD or Flex or wherever you go, you see this gym featured, and you also see obviously Big Steve Weinberger, who's head judge of the IFBB.
Right.
How much? I mean, there's got to be we hear about politics a lot in the sport. How much are guys in there to show to Steve that they're actually doing everything necessary? How much of that goes on?
I don't really know. I don't really, I just do my part as an athlete, I do go to Bev's. I'm one of those guys that does go to Bev's. I do, train there. I love to train there. But I don't really, what? I don't want to even think about that, because I work too hard to go up on stage knowing that if there is some sort of political thing going on, that I may be the best guy on that stage that day, and if there's something political going on, I may not win. I don't even want to think about that, because it messes up your train of thought. It messes up your motivation going into a show. So, but I will say this: I know that a lot of us bodybuilders here on the East Coast go to Bev Francis Gym. We pay our respects to that guy and his wife. Bev, and it's just, I go there out of respect, because they've paved the way again for us bodybuilders, giving us a home to go train at. That gym is incredible to train at. I don't know if either of you had the opportunity to train there, but it's an incredible gym to train at. There's so much motivation. So many pros go there to train. So that's personally why I go there. I don't really go there for any political reason. We're here talking today. I haven't been at Bev's for the last, I want to say like a month and a half, 2 months, because I just haven't had the time with my business and my wife, and we're opening a personal training studio now. So there's a lot of stuff going on. I just haven't had the time to go out. But as soon as I get the chance, I will go out and say what's up and get a good training session in.
I do think that speaks volumes to the gym, though, because I know it's not a close commute for a lot of bodybuilders, and they're willing to drive hour, 90 minutes, whatever it takes to get there.
Yeah, it takes me an hour. So.
Yeah, and I think that speaks a lot, because it's not like it's the only gym in town. I mean, you want to go there for the environment and to be around other pros, and and you know how it is. There's just gyms are dying, and
yeah. Well, personally for me, I mean, when you walk into Bev's and you see Kai Green, busting ass for the Olympia, I was getting ready for the Olympia, and I'm seeing Kai Green like killing himself. It fires you up, man. You really want to give it your all. That session, you go in there dragging ass, but by the time you see that, you're ready to go, so that's another big reason why I go,
I think there's a direct correlation between gyms getting weaker and more companies selling pre-workout supplements.
Yeah, I know there's a million of them right now.
You walk into LA Fitness and there's no motivation. There's old people and out of shape people, and
I know.
You need something, and
500 milligrams of caffeine will fix you.
Yeah.
Hey, let's talk about Victor Martinez. How far do you and Victor go back?
Me and Victor go back about 2001. 2001, 2002, around the same time I first started competing. It was right after my first show. I had gone up to Victor with a picture of mine from that show. I was so proud of it. This is going to date me a little bit, but I was carrying around, it was like a 4x6 photo. And, I had seen Victor at, being Dominican, having a Dominican family. My father, following bodybuilding, knew about Victor. And we're walking to Star Fitness, which is the gym that I train at every day. And Victor's standing outside. And my dad's like, oh, there's Victor right there, Dominican guy that I was telling you about. And we had done some research on him. I was like, oh, my God, I can't believe it. I mean, I was a big fan of him, too. So I walk up to Victor, all nervous. And I'm like, hey, Vic, I'm a big fan. Can you just tell me what you think about my first show, and what I could change? And so I showed him my picture, and he was kind of like, wow, you look really good. And I was like, yeah, you think I look good? He's like, yeah, you could definitely do really well. So ever since then, he's super cool. He was like, look, give me a call sometime. We'll get together and we'll train. And ever since then, we've been training together, and we were first training partners, and then from training partners, we turned into friends. And now the guy comes to, family functions, and I go to his family functions and stuff. So it's been he plays a big role in my competitive career, but also my personal life. We talk about everything now, so it's cool.
I was kind of hoping when you said your dad said, that's Victor, you guys, I was hoping your dad would have said, John, stay away from that guy. He's bad news. Or
yeah, no, my dad
run the other direction.
Yeah. No, like I said, we all had been big fans of Victor. Obviously Victor, has had a lot of ups and downs in his career and stuff. But if you know Victor, he's just genuinely a great guy. He's got a good heart. He really wants the best for everybody. Unfortunately, there's a lot of things that's happened in his career that may say otherwise, but if you know Victor personally, he's a great man.
I'm gonna put you on the spot real quick. 2007, did he beat Jay?
Yes, and I love Jay too. Jay's a great dude. I think Jay knows that Victor beat him, but it's one of those things. Like I think that unfortunately. Maybe somebody saw something in Jay that year that, gave them the nod. I don't know. It sucks because I think that Victor did deserve it that year, but how can you argue with the judges? They're seeing one thing, we're seeing another. That's the sport of bodybuilding. We've seen it a million times go down that way. So.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, you kind of hope it'd be like the Super Bowl this past, January or February, whenever that was, when Tom Brady gave his MVP trophy to the guy who caught the interception in the end zone.
Right. Yeah. Exactly.
I don't think we're going to see Jay Cutler giving Victor the trophy anytime soon. But
I don't know about that.
it's bodybuilding,
Yeah.
Exactly. So, and more on to Victor, a little bit more about him. Obviously, everybody knows about his immigration. 'issue from a few years ago. What was the immigration issue?
From a few years ago.
What was the immigration issue? What was the immigration issue from a few years ago? Obviously, everybody knows about his immigration issue from a few years ago. 'Issue from a few years ago. now that you got, now that every time's passed and everybody seems to have moved on for the most part, how, as one of his best friends, were you guys worried that you guys might actually lose him as a friend and brother? Yeah. Was it like really close to, you weren't sure?
Yeah. I mean, I didn't miss one hearing. I didn't miss one visitation. I went to see Victor as often as I could. And, every time they allowed us to go see him, because we had certain days, where you could go see him. So I didn't miss one visitation, one hearing. And it was like every other hearing was a good one, and then every other one was a bad one. You didn't know which way the case was going. It was kind of like the judge. At one point, I was so sure that they were going to, send him away, that the judge was kind of just being really, really harsh and just bringing up a ton of stuff that. Almost like he was bringing stuff up from, the 90s, his teenage years, all that stuff, So I was like, man, this really doesn't look good. But then the next time the judge was like, all right, well, I see you did this charity work, you do this, you do that. So we were really not sure what the hell was going to happen.
Hey, Jon,
did taxes?
Jon, did Victor have any idea before he traveled that might be coming up, or did he kind of figure, since he hadn't heard anything so long, that he was kind of in the clear?
Yeah, that's kind of from my understanding. When we had spoken about it afterwards, he was kind of like, well, you know what? He knew that like his thing was coming up, but he wasn't. He was kind of like, well, it's not expired, so. If I leave, but it was kind of like really, really close. So what happened was, because he left, they figured he was fleeing with, these, with these issues still kind of looming. And when he came back in, they just locked him up, and that was it. They didn't give him any chance to, to kind of explain why he had left. And so it's just, an unfortunate situation for him.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah. Good thing he got over it, but the only trouble is, what was it? Just a few months after that, he breaks his arm in an arm wrestling.
I know.
Talk about a guy with no luck.
Yeah, I know, right?
Let's talk a little bit about your training and just you as a bodybuilder overall. Is your competition weight still about 230 pounds, or where do you stand right now?
I competed this year. Well, at the early part of the year, I was competing at 240, 241. Okay. So Orlando, I was 241. Brazil, I was 240. New York, I was, I want to say 240 again. Toronto, I think I was like 238 or 237, something like that. And then for the Olympia, which was really disheartening for me, I lost 9 pounds overnight and weighed in about 231. And then from there, I shot up for Spain. I just decided, I'm going to eat everything and just try and fill up. So for Spain, I was a little too heavy. I was 243, 244. And then for Italy, again, I was back down to like 237. So.
Would you say it was a long year, because we saw your placings go from really solid to kind of, you'd be honest, right? They fell off at the end.
Yeah. It was, like I said, it was really disheartening for me because, I had dreamt about getting to the Olympia stage for, pretty much my whole life. As a child, you're dreaming about that moment. I mean, I watched, I can't even count how many Olympias with my dad. And, so it's a moment that I dreamt about for a long time. And for the weeks going into the show, Chris and I had a hard time maintaining my weight. I mean, I was eating a ton of food and still dropping weight. We backed off of cardio. I was even taking days off of the gym just to kind of slow things down. And, no matter what we did, my body was just tired, I guess, and it's a lesson learned. It sucks that I had to learn it at the Olympia and those shows afterwards. But, I guess we all go through it, and it is what it is,
Yeah, absolutely. What would you?
I think that also had, a little bit to do with, in all honesty, I'm going to be as blunt as possible here. I mean, if I was one of the best in the world, I probably wouldn't be in the situation I am now without a sponsor, both publication and supplement. If I was Phil Heath, I wouldn't be, worrying about a sponsor or anything like that. You know what I'm saying? So
yeah, absolutely.
That's obviously everything that you do as an athlete has its repercussions and advantages as well. And, I didn't place as well. So that's probably has a little bit to do with why things went down the way they did.
Iron Mag Labs is the creator of the most hardcore bodybuilding supplements on the market. Makers of the original formula Super DMZ and now Super DMZ 3.0, Iron Mag Labs brings you the strongest legal pro hormones on the market. Also available are Epitrin, Halo Extreme, Epistain, and Asta RX. Go to ironmaglabs.com right now and order from a wide selection. If you are a fan of Project Bodybuilding, please support this company. ironmaglabs.com, the most hardcore bodybuilding supplements on the market. Period. Evolution Peptides is one of the best known and most trusted chemical supply and research peptide sites on the internet. Check out Evolution Peptides for yourself. They're an American-made company and stock many of the most popular products, from melanotan 2 to GHRP2, as well as all the great research chems. Evolution has spent years developing strong supplements, dependability, a huge selection, and quick delivery. Evolution Peptides are also a big supporter of Projectbodybuilding.com, and if you like the site, you've got to like them too. In the world of peptides, Evolution has everything you need. Check them out at evolutionpeptides.com.
Yeah, well, and on the bright side, you're not the only guy going through it.
Yeah.
There's just in the past few years, even before yourself, I couldn't believe every time I'd see Cedric McMillan get signed by a company, then dropped by a company, then signed by a company. And it's like, he's one of the best bodybuilders in the world. And, he can't stay with the company.
Yeah. And that's really disheartening. Thank God that I had parents that brought me up to, I went to college. They cared about my education. They cared about me as a person, as a man, and taught me that nobody was going to take care of myself except for myself. So, I'm really fortunate and lucky that I have my store and I invested in myself first. And, we're opening now a personal training studio and a second store at the same time. So, a lot going on.
Let's talk about that. What did you study as far as college?
I went to school for nursing, actually.
All right, you opened up a can of worms with that one.
Yeah. So,
did you finish it or did you start it?
Well, I started, and then when I was going into my rounds for nursing school, I decided to switch, and I just graduated with my associates in liberal arts. So that was kind of it. Then I went into that day was a really rough time. I lost my cousin to cancer, and I was like, I don't know if I want to do this.
Just being around sick people all day.
Yeah. So that kind of just threw my whole thing off. And then I went into the elevator union, and I was an elevator mechanic for several years, and that was it.
Yeah, I remember watching that video when you were with MD several years ago. Seemed probably, would you say that's the worst job in New York City?
You know what? It's the worst job if you were in my division. If you're in repair, which is what I used to do, I mean, you're hoisting these 800-pound, 900-pound motors up and down stairs every single day, cables. I mean, elevator parts that are just huge and heavy and awkward to carry. I mean, it's rough. But if you were in the maintenance division, where you're kind of walking around with a computer, that the elevators are running properly and everything. That's the easy part of the job. So it's good and bad. I mean, the pay was great. But unfortunately, if you're in repair, most of the guys at 40 years old were just destroyed already. Their hips were gone, their backs were gone. So all the heavy lifting and stuff.
I think I'm putting the connection together too, because for the longest time, and I still see it today, unfortunately, people want to know why you don't go down to the 212 division. And they're probably thinking because they saw you slaving away in the elevator shaft.
Right.
doing cardio and barely eating and just sweating all day.
Yeah.
What do you think about that? I mean, are just people blind to think you're small enough to be in the 212s, or?
Well, I mean, look, I don't blame people for it. It makes sense structurally. I'm shorter, but if you put me next to like a a David Henry, let's say, you can see that I'm bigger, than a David Henry. You could see that I'm bigger than a Flex Lewis. Yeah, I'm bigger than those guys. So, I mean, it makes sense. Like I said, you look at my height, and on paper, 5'6", it should be in the 12s. But I and I'm not boasting. I'm not that kind of person, but I just carry more muscle than those guys do. So trust me, it would be easier for me if I could just chop off my leg and get to the 212. I could probably do better. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to go against these 280-pound monsters. I know what I'm going up against, but at the same time, you know what? I'm up for the challenge, and I'm just going to do what I got to do and do my best at it. Right. So,
hey Jon, when it comes to your owning a supplement store, I was just curious, have you ever had any problems either with a previous sponsor or when you're scouting for future sponsors that you sell other brand supplements? Does that ever come up at all?
Well, it has come up, and that's the thing. It's my store is my store. So if they want me to promote their brand through my store, I'm absolutely okay with it. But they have to understand that I'm going to promote other brands as well. Now, Nutrition Locker is not run by the page. Nutrition Locker is not run by me. It's run by my wife, so she can promote whoever she wants. On my personal page, my Instagram, my Facebook, my Twitter, whatever, I will just promote the brand that I'm sponsored by. So we keep it separate that way.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm.
Jon, let's talk about your off-season growing versus your growing into a competition. Taylor and I love to getting into this debate off the air usually, well, on the air too. And we have a couple different philosophies, and we're not going to go, big onto the chemical side of the sport on the interview today, but I got to get your opinion on off season. Say you have 5-6 months break. Are you going to go more of the side of moderate use and then ramp up for a prep, or is it let those chemicals do their job while you're eating a lot and training heavy? Where do you sit on all that?
Don't call me a bitch after this, but I'm one of those guys who is very, makes sense. I went to nursing school. I'm very health conscious. I get my blood work done 3 times a year, 2-3 times a year. And not just blood work, I get EKGs, sonograms. I mean, I check my prostate, I check everything. I make sure that I'm completely healthy from head to toe before I do anything. So with that said, I'm more health conscious. I'm a very light user. Most people look at what I do and they're like, really? That's it? And, I'm a hard believer in, I competed naturally for 6 years, 5 years. So I know what it is to go in the gym and really give it your all and bust your ass and, let the food do its work, let the cardio do its work. And then, obviously being a professional and in the sport, you got to use, those substances to your advantage as well. So, but I do believe that a lot of people take way too much and, put their health at risk. So my off season, I run things light. In my prep, I run things light as well. It's kind of really, really simple for me.
Sure.
Yeah.
Taylor, I told you he was a bitch.
Yeah, it's funny. Like I said, a lot of people have and if you know anything about Chris is, and that's why Chris and I work so well together. He's the same way. Chris doesn't have any of his athletes running a lot of stuff, and I think that's good. I said that I had an interview a few weeks ago where we touched on this subject as well, and I think that unfortunately today too many people are looking for that quick fix and I want to get big, I want to look like you, what do I take, what do I do? That's the first questions out of people's mouth. What do you take? Well, what about what do you eat? How do you train? Those are the questions that I asked when I was coming up. I didn't say, well, what do you take? I didn't want to know about that stuff. I didn't care. I knew that I hadn't reached my peak naturally. So, it's something that I think that more athletes, should be willing to talk about. I just understand the repercussions if you do, so it's kind of a touchy subject.
What's your off-season diet kind of look like? Do you structure it at all, or do you kind of just sort of wing it, or where do you take that? Well,
yeah, my diet is pretty much the same all year round. It's funny because most kids growing up wanted to have like McDonald's or pizza, and don't get me wrong, I did have those things from time to time, but being that my father was a bodybuilder, I was used to eating 6 times a day. I was used to having my protein shakes and this and that, so it's been like that all, my whole life pretty much. The only differences between my off season and my contest prep is like I'll have rice and beans and chicken. I won't have beans during my prep. You know what I mean? Yeah. Things like that. Stupid things.
Maybe some condiments and some extra sauces and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's it.
Gotcha.
If you ask, Juan Moreau, Juan is like, damn, this kid, he's like, you always eat clean. I don't get it. And it's just, even when we go out, like we go to Cheesecake Factory, we'll go out on a date. We'll bring out our wives, and I'll get like, if you know what Cheesecake Factory has, there's a meal called Steak Diane. It's a filleted steak with mashed potatoes. So that's what those are the things that I eat when I go out.
Do you think that has a large part to play with also the fact you keep in good health and everything like that?
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Again, having pizza or burgers and those fun things here and there is fine, but I think that being that obviously the things that we take may cause an increase in cholesterol or blood pressure and things like that, I think you should be even more careful with what you're putting in your mouth. But that's me.
So you hang out with Juan on a personal level, not just on camera and doing bodybuilding related stuff.
Yeah, that's the other thing, Juan and Marco Rivera, and we're like a big family over here on the East Coast. So we hang out a lot together. We were at Juan's house 2-3 weeks ago. We threw a surprise wedding party for Marco and Yashira. They just got married. So
does Juan walk in the room and be like, now it's a party, or he
says it all the time. That's really how he is. That is really how he is.
That's amazing. That's absolutely amazing.
Yeah. And, it's funny. Juan is one of the most lighthearted, fun, big guys you'll ever meet. He's just always smiling, always wants to have fun, and boy, he loves to eat.
Yeah, no kidding. I'm a little curious about working with Chris Aceto. Who did you work with before you ran into Chris, and when did Chris come into the picture and all that? Can you let us know?
I had the privilege of working with a few great coaches. Actually, I worked with First Factory, Mubrock, and then I worked with George Farah. And that's pretty much it. So, both of my experiences with both of them were great. I just felt like, on several things, some of the things didn't agree with what I was looking to do. And then, Chris, it's funny how Chris and I got together. When I was competing naturally, I don't know if you guys know of a man named Bob Gruskin.
Yes.
All right. Well, he was, running the organization that I was competing with. It was the NABA organization. And my first show, this old man comes up to me and my dad is like, you're going to have a great future in bodybuilding. You have an unbelievable structure. You look good on stage. Your posing is great, so on and so forth. So me and my dad leave my first show and we're like, who was that creepy old guy? We do a little research. It's freaking Bob Gruskin, So I guess, few years later, I'm reading Chris Aceto's book on nutrition, and he mentions Bob Gruskin. I'm like, holy shit, that's it's the guy
that might be legit.
Yeah. So I reached out to Chris, and we started working together, and then he sent me over my plan, and I was like, this is it. This is exactly what I would be doing. This is what I feel comfortable doing. So.
Was there any? Did you have to sort of bend his arm at all to work with you, or because he's been known to, at least in the beginning when he was just getting back into it, he was pretty selective, or was he just? Oh yeah,
he still is. He's still very, very selective. It's kind of like he didn't say, "Yeah, we're going to work together." It was kind of like he kind of felt me out. We had like conversations about everything. It was just kind of like I said, kind of feeling out the kind of guy that I was and my work ethic, and if I was going to be a waste of time for him, because I'm very big on, representation, right?
Yeah.
Somebody comes into my store and I'm helping them get ready for, let's say, some show. And that person goes on stage and looks like crap. Well, that's a representation of me. and I think Chris thinks along the lines of the same way. He doesn't want to, have some guy that just, may have money to pay him, but doesn't have the work ethic to do what he wants him to do. And then he goes up on stage and he looks like crap. You know what I'm saying? So, I guess he was kind of feeling me out in that sense. And once he saw that, I'm willing to do whatever I got to do to be the best on that day, or my best on that day. He gave me the green light, and he sent over my plan. Like I said, as soon as I saw the plan, I was like, wow, this is perfect.
What were the main differences? Not without, you don't have to say it's better or worse compared to what you were doing with Fauchery or George or anything. What was the things that stood out as from when you saw what?
Well, one thing for sure was, on the chemical side of things, it was very, very different. Again, more along the lines of what I felt comfortable doing.
For sure.
And it may be one of the biggest reasons why I'm not the biggest guy on stage, but, slowly but surely I'm growing every year, and I'm okay with that. I don't need to be 280 pounds yesterday. I'll get there. If my body takes me there, great, but I'm not going to push it. So that's the biggest thing, and George Farah is also known to be very light on those things too, but I didn't feel comfortable with a little bit of the other things that he was doing with the diet. So he loved, I forget what the fish is called.
Don't say orange roughy.
No, not orange roughy.
I've got a big problem with orange roughy.
I forget what it was called, but it was a disgusting fish. I couldn't eat it. So he was big on fish, and I'm really, fish and me don't get along. So Chris didn't have me on fish at all this year. I was on chicken and steak the whole time. So
cool.
Yeah.
John, how do you think you'd do if you had to prep yourself for, say, the New York Pro or a big show like that all by yourself? Would you do okay or no? No. I'm the least confident guy you'll ever meet. When it comes to myself, I wouldn't say I'm the least confident guy. I'm just very, very, very hard on myself. I've pushed myself to, too much sometimes, when I should be saying, okay, I look good. I'm saying to myself, I need more. I want more, and whatever that is with cardio or dieting harder or dropping carbohydrates, whatever it is, I do it, and it ends up being to my detriment than to, anything good. I think that's pretty cool that you're humbling yourself on that, because I've been around, whether pro bodybuilders or other pro athletes, and most every pro athlete, they kind of share that quality of, they think they have it all going on upstairs mentally. And in bodybuilding, I don't think that, there's, you hear the expression, I need a coach to have a second eye on me. And it's like, why would you need a second eye if you're mentally strong and know what your body needs?
Right.
And then I just say to myself, are bodybuilders, or just people in general, almost incapable of being honest with themselves? Right. Because you get in shape, but...
Yeah, I think a lot of people are just incapable of being honest with themselves. That's the honest truth. I think I've seen people get ready by themselves, and then at the end of the day, they're still looking for somebody to say, "Oh, do I look good? Or what do you think?" So look, just be honest with yourself, be honest with everybody around you, and just say, "Look, I can't do this on my own. I don't think I can be my best on my own." And some people do look at Juan. Juan looks great on stage, and he does everything on his own. He has us that he leans on at times, and he's like, "Hey, what do you think? Do I look okay?" But for the most part, he does everything on his own. So some people actually can do it. I'm just not one of those people. I really don't. I don't have the confidence in myself to put that kind of pressure on myself to be my best. I think that I will mess it up towards the end. The beginning of the diet is pretty easy. You just but as you get closer, with being stage ready, that would be difficult for me.
Yeah, my biggest problem is I'm in the gym and I think I look good, and then I go into the bathroom later on that night and I look horrible.
Yeah, that's me. Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. I'm like, God, I could probably do this, and then I get in the shower and I'm like, definitely not.
Yeah. Well, you know what? We're all like that. I trained with Victor, and that's like the worst thing that anybody could do.
Yeah.
They were getting ready for the Olympia, and I feel good going into the gym. I'm like, damn, I'm full today. I'm veiny, hard. I look great. And I'm like doing arms with Victor, and his arms are like 24 inches pumped. I'm like, well, maybe I don't look that good. Gotta do a little more arms. Vic, you go home.
Note to self: train with small people.
Yeah. So I think we're all
maybe the Toronto Pro sounds better than the Olympia.
Yeah.
So we got the Arnold coming up here. This interview, unfortunately, is going to air after the Arnold's over. But do you have any insider scoop with you not competing in it this year? Who do you like to take the show?
I'm going with Dexter. Dexter's he looks incredible right now. Seen some pictures floating around. He looks awesome. So I'm gonna go with Dexter winning. I'm gonna actually go with Cedric coming in second. Okay. Cedric looks phenomenal right now. And then it's
wait a minute, John, is that insider scoop since Cedric works with Aceto?
Maybe. Maybe, but Cedric looks incredible. He's in his 280s right now. He's hard, striated glutes, and he's just crazy looking. I think Cedric's got one of the prettiest physiques in the IFBB.
I got to get your honest opinion. What did you? Because you're the only guy to stand next to Compton since Compton's kind of been this new phenom on the scene.
Yep.
You got second place to him in Orlando. Mm-hmm. What are your thoughts on him? I mean, because he's kind of like the next big thing. I mean, 2 years ago it was all about Big Ramy, but now it's all about Justin. What do you think about him?
I think Justin's an incredible athlete. I mean, look, he's young. He's built an enormous amount of muscle on his frame, and in a really short amount of time. I think he's going to do very, very well. I mean, look, he's made me step up my game, to the next level. And that's a good thing for the sport. I'm sure everybody, that's looking at Justin feels the same way. They're like, man, this kid's pushing, he looks good. And, and I'm happy for him. Justin's a great guy, man. He's really humble dude. And he's, and he's smart. He's doing everything on his own as well. So, props to him. I mean, he's a freak for sure. The dude is, when we were backstage, I was like, come on, man, you kidding me? Because that was kind of the show that I was hoping that I would be the breakout. Even though it was a great show for me to break out. I mean, I got a lot of buzz off of that show as well. But
if he wasn't there,
it kind of stole my thunder.
Yeah, if he wasn't there, you would have been the one like in the distant lead, right?
Yeah,
because it was definitely 1 and then 2 and then you guys made everyone else. You know what I mean? You guys were leading ahead of everyone else.
Yeah. So,
hey Taylor, I know you got to ask John one of your pervy questions.
Oh, how pervy? How pervy?
The one we were talking about off air about, does he shave himself?
No, it's actually funny because I actually know I forget where, but I saw a thread and people were giving you shit about not shaving your arms or something like that. And I just wonder how you react to that, what your thoughts are. Because you train with, all the guys you train with are usually probably stay, smooth and shit. So maybe we should talk about that.
That's funny. That's really funny, actually. People love to get on my ass about not shaving and dude, I bodybuild because I love to bodybuild. Bodybuilding to me doesn't mean that I have to shave my arms and my chest and my back and my legs every fucking 2 days. That's not what it is to me. Bodybuilding is me getting in the gym, training, and I have a wife, I have a life, I have things that I got to do. I'm not that self-centered to spend my an hour in the bathroom shaving just so I could look at my muscles and look good. Like, come on. I'm a man, I have hair on my arms, I have hair on my chest, and that is what it is. And the honest truth about it is too, my wife likes when I'm not shaved, so, and I'm okay with that too. I'm a hairy dude, and it is what it is. I think it's funny when people are like, oh, I can't believe you didn't shave. I'm like, well, I didn't know it was part of the, thing that I had to do every single day.
24/7, yeah.
I don't know. The only thing I heard there was that it takes you an hour.
Yeah, dude. I mean, it's funny.
I can relate, man.
You know what's funny? I text Chris because Chris this was just yesterday. I text Chris. I said, hey, when you want me to send you pictures so we could, you can see how I'm looking in this off season. He goes, send it to me. When you get a chance. I said, all right, well, I'm gonna shave my chest and my back and my arms, and I'll send them over to you as soon as I'm done. He goes, man, I'd hate to pay the electric bill because he's seen how hairy I am.
No shit.
That's awesome.
You mentioned your wife. Let's get into a bit of that because you're one of the success stories in a not so successful, happy marriage and bodybuilding don't always go hand in hand. So maybe describe just even back from the beginning, just your relationship with your wife and how important you think it is to your success.
My wife is the greatest thing that's happened to me ever. I met Swann at a pretty difficult time in my life, I guess romantic life, you could say. I'm kind of that nice guy that always gets screwed over.
For sure.
So, I had been, with several different relationships where things just didn't work out, and just a kind of a preface to this whole story is I was engaged before Swann to my high school sweetheart. We were together for 7 years, and she just left me like 4 months before the wedding.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah. So, ever since then I had, and obviously before that I had been, relationships as well where things didn't work out. And so, it was one thing after another with these women that I was dating, and I was kind of just like fed up. And I was gonna, become one of these so-called, like every other guy, just pretty much just dating and screwing around and whatever. I was all about myself. I was going to try and become that guy. And,
attaboy.
Yeah.
How noble, a noble effort.
So, it's the Easterns, about 5 years ago, and I see Swann, walking towards me, and I was like, man, that girl's gorgeous. And I tap Yashira on the shoulder. I'm like, my wife is coming right now. And she's like, who? I'm like, that girl right there. She's like, Swann? I was like, oh shit, she knows her. It's like wrong person to say that to. So, of course, she said something to Swann when I left. And, I felt like a creepy loser after that. So I didn't say anything to Swann. And then 2 or 3 months later, Swann had emailed me and said, hey, if I'm going to be your wife, don't you think we should be talking? And the rest is history, man. Yeah.
Wow.
She was just giving you time for your arm hair to grow in.
Yeah. Well, she could have given it a week. It would have been back.
If anybody sees me at the Arnold Classic Expo this year, that's why I'll be circling around Natalia Mello and Amanda Latona. just hoping one of them says, if you want to be my husband, then you got to come up and talk to me.
Yeah. So that's how things started. Funny. And like I said, it's the she kind of took me out of that funk and showed me that there's great women out there. Swann is like unlike any other woman I've ever met. I mean, this woman, she's just the best way I could describe her. She's just my best friend. She's there for everything. She's my biggest supporter. Without getting too much, she's just everything to me. Do
you think you would be sort of where you're at with your career otherwise if you did go down the other path?
No. There's something that happens internally, I think, to every man when you decide to start a family. There's no coincidence that 2 years after me and Swann got together and I decided I was going to marry, I opened my store, and now opening my second store and a personal training studio. And I keep wanting more and better for both of us. And without her, I don't think I would have ever wanted that.
That's awesome.
Yeah, for sure. It's good to hear.
Well, Taylor, any more questions before we get to our big 10 questions to wrap up the interview?
No, I don't think so. I was kind of curious, when the products you move in your store, what are some of the more popular brands now that you're not tied down and obligated to say anything specific?
Yeah. We move a lot of species. The great thing about my store is a lot of competitors come here.
Yeah.
So, a lot of people just come in, they grab what they need. I'm not pushing any product on anybody. So I really take pride in that. I'm not going to be a salesman like the people at GNC or Vitamin Shop that are just trying to sell you a product to make their margin on it. But we do move a lot of species. We move a lot of metabolic nutrition. Gaspari did well here for quite some time. It's a little slowed down now since they're going through their thing. But yeah, those three brands right there are really, really moving.
Awesome.
BSN also does really well here.
Nice. One other question is the NYBB Blue Series that you popped in there a few times. How did that come about, and did you enjoy it? And sort of just where did that come from?
That's kind of a thing that MHP wanted to do. So we of course we were all down for it. I think the idea came from how tight knit, me, Marco, Victor, Yashara, Swann, and we're all, like I said earlier, we're all like a family. So I think MHP wanted to capture that on film. It's really unfortunate that they canned the series, because I know a lot of people loved it and wanted to see more. But I do have
it came across very real and not phony.
Yeah, nothing was staged, or everything that was recorded was real time. It was kind of like Mike Pulcinella was just hanging around all day with a camera, just capturing stuff,
Yeah.
And it was all very real. Nothing was staged. Nothing was written out or anything like that. It was just he just captured what was happening. But I do have some good news. I'm kind of doing my own thing like that, featuring Victor and, our whole little crew that we got going on over here. But it's, going to be my own series or DVD that I may be putting out. So
is that what the trailer we saw a few months back was?
Yeah. Well, that's my DVD.
When's that?
Well, here's the story with that. I was going to release it before the Olympia. Or I'm sorry, after the Olympia, but with the tragedy that happened, I called it a tragedy. My Olympia.
The less than stellar performance.
yeah. With that fucking tragedy, I was like, you know what? I got to redeem myself. We can't put this DVD out yet.
Nobody's gonna buy this thing.
yeah. So we decided to film through this year. The crew that I'm working with, they're great. They're gonna follow me through my prep, and again the whole business and my whole day. So it's gonna be a cool inside look on.
Are you gonna keep the original part just to show you?
Yeah, we're gonna. It's kind of like it's gonna kind of be like a redemption kind of thing.
Awesome.
Where you're gonna see me up at my high, because we started training. We started filming right after the Brazil Arnold Classic Brazil. So you see me at my high, where my spirits are really high, my enthusiasm is really high. I'm really looking forward to the next shows, the New York Pro and all that stuff. And then you catch me at my lows as well, right after the Olympia and the European tour that we did. I was you'll see it. I'm kind of really bummed out and heartbroken, but hopefully this season we'll get a little bit more of that redemption look.
Awesome. Look forward to it.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
All right, Jon, it's time for the 10 questions. I've been pumped up about this all show long. So
all right, let's do it.
Let's do it. Taylor, cue the music, buddy. He cued it. All right. You got to take my word that it's cued.
Okay.
Studio magic.
That's right. All right. Question number 1. MHP and Muscle Meds. Now, of course, we know you're not with them anymore, but they are sister companies. Most everybody knows this. But does anyone from MHP hang out with Kai at the annual Christmas party?
Yes.
Ooh. So they do talk to him. Okay. Question number 2. If you were a gym owner, would you rather own one hardcore gym like Bev's or 50 Planet Fitness gyms?
50 Planet Fitness gyms. That's me being a business owner.
And not a successful one, because if you said the other one.
Yeah, exactly.
So many guys want hardcore gyms, and they're not thinking with their right minds.
Right.
All right. Question number 3. Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter?
Instagram.
All right. Okay.
Just because you can connect all 3 through Instagram, so why not just one?
True.
You're part of the problem with that. I think people are getting dumber with only pictures, but
yeah, you're right.
All right. Question number 4. Do aliens exist?
No.
Doesn't believe in aliens. Okay. Note that one down, Taylor.
I got it. Document that.
It's an important one.
That's right. Question number 5. Backstage at an IFBB show, are you mean mugging guys or being friendly?
Being friendly. I'm totally happy to be there in my zone. I mean, at the Olympia, I was like a kid. I was totally in awe. I was like a kid in the candy store. I was like, holy crap, I can't believe I'm here. I was hanging out with everybody, talking to everybody. It was really cool.
Very cool. Question number 6. What's your least favorite thing about being a bodybuilder?
The negativity that surrounds the way you look. Most people automatically look at you when they think steroids. They don't look at the body of work that it's taken to get here. They don't look at the years of training, the years of dieting, the discipline, the sacrifice. They don't look at all that. So that's the least favorite thing. I just wish people were more willing to understand and being a little bit more open-minded about what we do as athletes.
Too quick to judge. I agree.
Yeah.
All right. Question number 7. If you retired without an Olympia or Arnold Classic victory, would you consider your career a success or a failure?
Failure.
Keeping it going. I love that. All right. Question number 8. You're listed online at 5'7". You've already come out and said you're 5'6".
Yeah.
How many inches is this really off by?
I'm 5'6", 3 3/4. So
there we go.
So he's not Jose Raymond. We got that. Note that
right.
one too. Okay. All right. Question number 9. Who did you want to see end up with Kelly? Zach or Slater?
Zach.
It was meant to be, my friend.
Yep.
Destiny.
That blonde hair did it again.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Last question. Is there one embarrassing song that you're ashamed to admit that you have on your iTunes, but are prepared to tell the bodybuilding world right now?
Well, everybody knows I love R&B and I'm a mush, but I guess the most embarrassing one would be Roar.
Oh, by Kelly Perry.
Yeah.
Oh.
I think we just found our outro to end the show. That's awesome. Jon, I know you probably have a few people to probably thank or give shout outs, or just how can people connect with you online so they can say hello?
Yeah, don't forget your store too.
Yep. Yeah, everybody can reach me at on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter at IFBB Jon Delarosa. IFBB Jon Delarosa. You can visit my website at IFBB Pro JonDelarosa.com, and you can go to my store's website, nutritionlocker.com, if you need any supplements, or you can contact me through there too, through email. I'd like to thank my wife, of course, my biggest supporter, my dad, the rest of my family, my mom, my brothers and sister, and all of you guys for, listening to me and wanting me on the show. And, I wouldn't be here today without you guys. So I really appreciate it.
Very cool. And we appreciate you being on the show. And I know our listeners are going to be really excited to hear the interview. And
cool.
Very cool. Yeah. Thanks for coming on the show, Jon.
All right. No problem, guys.
What's the next show? Did I miss something? New York Pro? What do we do?
Well, no, I'm not hitting the New York Pro this year. I'll be doing the Pro first.
Sorry, the which?
Tampa Pro or the Vancouver Pro, one of those two.
I live in Vancouver, so I'll see you there if you go.
All right, sweet.
Cool, man. Look forward to it.
All right, buddy.
Thanks, Jon.
No
Thanks,
problem,
Jon.
guys. Take it easy.